Good afternoon, everyone. It is now Transformational Tuesday yet again. It is Share and Care with BHT, the video experience. And yes, I'm going to be mobile yet again because my wife is going to get off here in about an hour. So I am at her favorite restaurant, which is Zaxby's. So I am coming to you live from Zaxby's here and everything. So we'll be rocking and rolling this bad boy here in just a minute, and we'll be getting the show on the road. And again, everyone, we're just so humbled and honored that you guys take time out of your day to get engaged, get informed, and be a part of our conversations each and every single time. So we're just so humbled and honored about that. And there's some big changes coming here at Bringing Humanity Together, so stay tuned to that as well because we got a lot of great things coming in and of itself. So just be on the lookout on not only on our website, but I'll put that in the comments here in just a minute, so you guys can follow us there too as well and everything. But today's conversation is going to be about can human resources be transformed into human development. And I want to start the conversation off there. And for a lot of you people who work in HR, we would love to hear from you today too as well. From where you sit, not only from a recruiting space, or even more importantly, a independent arbiter to really help and grow people, not only in their professional development, but also more importantly, maybe their personal development that literally becomes one. And that's what I truly believe Bringing Humanity Together sees human development really being, is we take that personal development and take that professional development and make it one when it's already there. And for a lot of us, we really don't see it as such for whatever rhyme or reason. So I've already put the link to the call in the comment section, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or on LinkedIn. This is going to be the link so you can join into the conversation today. That is where you can join the call. We would love to hear from all of you guys. And if you could do us a huge favor, I just got a notification on StreamYard that they said now we won't be able to stream live now to our Facebook group pages or business page if we don't have quote unquote certain followers. So that's kind of weird because we've been doing that for ages. So the criteria for what StreamYard's been saying now is you got to have over more than 200 people. So if you could do us a huge favor and go to Bringing Humanity Together on Facebook on the business page and follow that, and also go to and search out Bringing Humanity Together as a Facebook group. Go there and ask to be invited and join into the conversation. We would love for you guys to do so and everything like that. But like I said, before I even got on, I saw that and I was like, why is that? Why now they say you got to have a certain amount of people to be able to stream live? To me, that's beyond me. If you want to put the word out, that should be something that should be readily available to a lot of people in and of itself. And also, please follow our YouTube channel too as well. I'm going to put that in the comment section here in just a second as well. But like I said, we would love to have you guys part of this conversation today about can human resources transform into human development. And like I said, it is going to be our YouTube channel, and we would love to hear from you guys in and of itself. So let me put that in here. Bing, bang, boom is our YouTube channel, and we would love for you guys to join us there. And that is our YouTube channel, and I will put it also in LinkedIn too as well. And so if you guys could do that, that'd be greatly appreciated. And also, we have another channel on YouTube as well. Search out in the YouTube search box, Conversations for Humanity with Chris Berryman. And if you could also give us a follow and subscribe there, that would be greatly appreciated too as well. And we would love to hear from you on our live streams and events and workshops moving forward. So, so we would love to hear from you guys there. Uh, so I'm pinging some people in and everything. So I'm going to tell people that we are live. So we are live. Come join us. So we would love to hear from you guys. So for the people who, whether it be an owner or a investor, or even those people who work in the HR space as it traditionally sits today, um, we would love to hear from you in and of itself of what that does that look like and mean to you when it comes to the space of human development in and of itself. So, like I said, we would love to hear from you guys. And I see we already have a guest already here. Sharon is with us today. Hello, Sharon. How are you doing today on Transformational
I,
Tuesday?
I am doing great on this Transformation Tuesday, Chris. And how are you?
I am doing well, doing well. It's kind of rainy, but that's okay. We need the rain.
Yeah, it's it's like kind of cloudy, but yet not. It's the sun's out a little bit. Doesn't know what it wants to do here today. So, but you guys need the rain. You're in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm what smack dab in 45 minutes to Tampa, 45 minutes to Orlando.
Yeah, you need the rain. So, yeah,
Yeah, that we do. That we do. So how's things been going for you?
things are going well, Chris. Things are going well. Doing a lot of good stuff. A lot of stuff I'm excited about. So yeah, yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing well, doing well. We had some more people join uh, our call yesterday, so we had a new person who was going to be a part of it. Her name is Anna, and we had a great and
Hmm.
engaging conversation with her and everything. So she is going to be joining the movement, so that's going to be good. But I truly believe, Sharon, this conversation is one that we should have. Is that can HR be transformed into human development? So I want to start the conversation off there, Sharon. Can HR be transformed to human development?
I think it should be, and I think it can be. Um,
What's your take
I
on it?
think so. My take on it is this: in a way, HR already is human development, except that HR gets people who are in HR. They have certain tasks that they have to, certain responsibilities, certain tasks like onboarding,
Mm-hmm.
and then, um, all the actual tasks of the HR job, right?
Okay.
But when you take the philosophy that moving HR to more of a human development type of philosophy, you're putting people first.
Mm-hmm.
And people are what make up companies, organizations, nonprofits, all of it. So if you're taking the philosophy of human development and developing the humans that are running your companies and um, running your organizations, then your organization by default is going to grow and expand and magnify. So, and develop. You know what I mean? So, I really think that HR should be more human development based. I'm not saying that you don't have to have somebody that can help people with the paperwork. And the other reason I think it should be more human development based is because part of what HR is supposed to be, but they don't get the chance to be very often, is to help resolve conflict or to help mediate and to also help people learn the skills to better communication and things like that. But often the HR department doesn't really get to do that as effectively as maybe they could or should because they have to. they really are put in a position of protecting the organization in a lot of situations. So because they're protecting the organization in a lot of situations, when people do have conflict, people are shy to come forward and scared to come forward because they're afraid they're going to be misunderstood or they're going to, receive retribution or, get their name blacklisted to the point where nobody's going to want to be around them because, ooh, this person starts trouble. And I don't think it should be seen as starting trouble. I think it should be seen as opening up the door to communication and resolving an issue that exists. Because honestly, most of those issues that are brought up by people having conflict or whatever it is, they're systemic. So just because if you stop looking at them as just, you know, the micro problem that you might be seeing it as, you're gonna see a greater magnification of the problem and see it as a macro issue. And so that's my take on it.
Well, you brought up a lot of great gems, and I love what you shared just a second ago about most often than not what HR usually has done is probably look out to the best interest of the company, not necessarily in balance of the people in the company. And I have seen that for far too long myself. And it just begs the question, and I want to ask you that, Sharon. Why have we gone down that road that we actually look out for an organization and not necessarily the people?
I'm really not sure what the why is, because again, I go back to organizations and companies would not exist without the people who make them up. Hi, Monica. So,
Hi, Sharon. Hi, Chris.
so I have a really hard time understanding that, Chris. And that's part of the change that I want to be um, making or helping to start the process and making. Because again, it goes back to something you guys have probably heard me say a gazillion times, and you'll hear me say it a gazillion more. We need to start from the vantage point of that we're all human. So, human resources departments, HR departments wouldn't exist without the human in the human resources. Companies wouldn't exist without the humans making them run. So, I mean, it's simple to say, but I don't know why people are veering away from that, you know? I don't know. Sometimes I think it might be favoritism. Like people might be afraid that one person is getting favored over another, or one person's point of view is getting, or a certain point of view is getting favored over another. But that again goes back to the systemic problem of communication and being able to have open lines of communication and being able to agree to disagree. Because some of the best growth happens from a disagreement if you can agree to disagree politely and appropriately. That's my take on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 110%. And Jesse has now joined us too as well. Larry, glad to see you here too.
Hey everybody.
Monica,
Hey,
glad to
Jesse.
see you here, Jesse.
Glad to see you, Chris. Hey Sharon. Hey Monica.
Hi, Jesse.
Yeah. So I want to go to you, Monica. Will human resources be able to transform into human development?
Absolutely. I think that it will happen in time. Um, I just overheard what Sharon was saying. I haven't heard that from the beginning, but I just feels like we sort of look into people like numbers, not like the human beings at the moment. It is changing slowly but surely. But I feels like developing human in the organization from the beginning, and learning about their passion, having that curiosity of their interest as well. and really just because I feel like we spend so much time at work, in our workplace. It's really important to understand who we work with and then what these people actually want from life. And perhaps it's not the role they're doing, because obviously you don't know until you try it. So develop them in a way that they can really shift the career, or they really can tap into their passions and add value to the organization, truly.
Jesse, what's your take on that?
Can you ask me the question again? Because I think I overheard it, but I didn't catch the whole thing.
Can you repeat that, Monica?
The question was, let me just have a look. Will human resources transform into human development?
Oh, okay. I think it can do that, but it has to have more of a person-to-person feel, like a one-on-one type of feel, like you're talking to your buddy or talking to someone you know. Because if you don't have that, you're going to have a lot of confusion to where you feel isolated and separated from the working environment that you're in. And when you feel that way, you become a cancer to everyone because you're suffering from anxiety. And if you're in a cubicle or if you're just in an office building, you don't always feel like you're one with anyone in there, because there are certain things that jobs can do to where they can make you feel isolated, because a lot of times they have a certain way of doing things. And if you don't fit that criteria, you feel like you need to get out of there as soon as it says 5 o'clock. But if the HR really takes the time to analyze and understand that person-to-person interest, or having a personal relationship with the workers there as much as you can, it ensures someone to work harder, and it ensures them to communicate more effectively and to bring more joy and more creative ideas to the work environment. Because a lot of these jobs lack the creativity to sustain everyone from a 9 to 5 or for a late night shift or early shift. If you're able to use your creative thought process in the work environment with the guidance and support of your superiors, you're more likely to invest into your company for the long term, depending if it's just an office building or a Zoom meeting or wherever you are, and you'll feel better about being yourself. That's what I've learned myself, my own experiences.
Can I add something to that, Chris? Would that be okay?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I think also, to add to what Monica and Jesse are saying, when you are hired by HR, because that's who does the hiring, right? In most agencies and organizations, you're being hired because HR sees something in you, or your immediate supervisor, potential immediate supervisor, sees some kind of characteristic or skill or asset that you're going to bring to the company or to the project, correct? So, wouldn't it stand to reason that companies should want to get to know, once you're hired, more about you and more about that particular interest that you have, that they have honed in on as a plus for the organization? Learn to know more about that and maybe some other interests that kind of connect to it, um, and build on that, because you're there for a reason. Because if they didn't see something in you that connected with the company, you wouldn't be there. So I don't understand. For me, I don't understand why companies don't want to build on that, and bring more of what people are interested in out. Why they just stay locked into that one characteristic or asset that they saw as a benefit, you know? Um,
That's a
and
great point, Sharon. I feel it's for the money. Time is money, and investing in people takes time. Yeah. So if they're interested in someone, they need to sort of sacrifice some other activities they do, and also that's a great point. Just bringing out what passion is, or what they really gifts are, in those people, because we sort of when we can learn everything, at the workplace. And I think HR and employers should really shift. It's a paradigm shift anyways these days. It's like shifting from that approach, like I treat you as a number because you sort of fulfill some certain jobs criteria at the moment. However, what's your future in this company? So just to be curious about what their passions are, and maybe when they try to do their work, the job, they might be able to really tap into something else, or they might not be something they're good at, but they might be something else for them that they're just perfect, at. So it's really important to sort of I don't know, because obviously the companies at the moment they do like a shadowing work or mentoring, but that's a great point, to bringing out the best qualities in ourselves, and really to see where we can tap into some other parts of our potentials, to add value to the companies.
Go ahead, Jesse.
You know what it is too? They need to have inspiration. Like if you're a supervisor or your HR, where is your energy? Like I know you're tired. I know you have a lot of work going on, a lot of work on your plate, but you have to have that extra gear to inspire the people around you. You have to give them motivation and drive to do the creative things that they need. A lot of times we all come to work, we have different things going on in our personal lives, and sometimes we try to come to work just to get away from those issues. And so if you come to work where you have another issue, whether it be a coworker or a deadline or just constant emails, you need the leadership to be inspirational with their words, inspirational with their actions. They must motivate you to push yourself, and they have to show that they're pushing themselves too. Because at the top, you have to work just as hard as the people below you. You cannot expect anyone to do anything if you don't have the energy in your words and the conviction. If you're convicted and you convince yourself, you can convince anyone to work as hard as they want to be, and you give them the space to be creative. They must have conviction and a creative energy to be a leader. But without that, you cannot be a successful leader in anywhere on this planet. You have to be able to drive it forward with passion and conviction in your heart. And I think that inspires greatness in a company, and people will never leave that company. They'll just add more value to it and create something even grander. So that's my thoughts.
That's a great point. If I can tap into
Hey,
it, I think it's appreciation as well for those leaders who, like the leaders of tomorrow, the people, they have to have a passion for people, and for the growth. And then if they grow, we grow together. And I feels like to appreciate people who work for them, because, the great job they do. And appreciation, it's something that really can add more sort of energy to us, and we can, we can fulfill our responsibilities, and we can do it even with exceptional, quality, because we are being appreciated. So that's quite important thing. And appreciation is pretty rare these days, unfortunately,
That's a great point,
unless
Monica.
you're underperforming. Yeah,
That's a
then
great
you'll
point.
find out quickly.
I think that people don't hear that they're appreciated enough, especially in the work environment. You know, I think the appreciation often is just, leaders in the workforces, they do have a lot on their plate and they just kind of assume that people know they're appreciated. But honestly, when you're in the drudge of your workday and when you're just trying to get things done so that everything gets out on their deadline, to not hear that you're appreciated and just have it be assumed really deflates your balloon and your motivation. It's like deflating a balloon. Because if you're just going, there's so many people in today's world right now that are just going through the motions at work. And that's really sad. And that's why I really do believe that HR does need to get back to a human development type of, putting the human back in the workforce. Because there are so many people that not everybody, I'm not making a generalization, but there are a lot of people that I talk to throughout the day who are literally just going through the motions at work. They clock in and then they're watching the clock to see when they can clock back out, because it's just about getting their paycheck so they can take care of their family, and for many of them go on to their second job because they need second jobs to be able to sustain themselves. And if we got back to the human part of human resources, people would be staying with companies. Back when I was growing up, my dad used to teach us that it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that companies like loyalty, and you could be working at a company for 30 years. You could start your first day there and you could retire at the same company. In a lot of situations back when my dad was working, that's not the case today. People are company and agency hopping and being let go. There is no outward appreciation and loyalty to keep people working within your company. And I really think that that is one of the biggest downfalls of our country right now. I mean, there's many, in my opinion, but this
That's a
is
great
one of
point,
them.
Sharon. That's a great point, Sharon. It seems like more of like a ticking box exercise when they're
Yeah.
going from one person to another. And loyalty these days is being perceived as naivety. So staying loyal with your company, it's like you being naive. You can't
Right.
become a friend with your coworkers because obviously you can't really share very private stuff with them.
Hmm.
So it's like it has been divided. Like you come to work, you do your job, and then you leave. Um, there's no sort of that spirit. So that's a great point with like putting a human in the center of the human development and human resources, because it's about the humans, yeah, and those humans are our capital. So whether we're not thinking we're investing in them, we're investing our time, and they invest their time in a company as well. So it should be like reciprocated. Give and take dynamic, more of a you know getting a paycheck and then getting a job done, and that's it, because that's pretty transactional, and it is sad.
And I saw Anna make it is, and I saw Anna make a comment that it's cheaper to replace someone because you can pay them less. And I get that that's the mindset today, but it's not going to sustain us. It's not going to sustain companies. It's not going to sustain our ecosystem called, this ecosystem we call our society. Our society is falling apart, and that's because, I'm sorry, but we are sending a lot of mixed messages across the board. We're sending a lot of mixed messages to our youth, and our youth is the future of this. The youth is the future. The youth is tomorrow for this country. And not only are the youth getting mixed messages that are not making them be very motivated to really do powerful things, because they say what for, but you also have adults like us who are saying what for, and they're just doing the bare minimum, because why should they? They're not being incentivized to do more than the bare minimum. They're not being appreciated. There is no such thing as loyalty anymore, and it is cheaper. But are we being penny wise and pound foolish? In my opinion, yes, we are. Because it's cheaper, but what's the cost? There's a greater cost than just saving the money. And that's the thing we need to be aware of and want to change. There's the greater cost than the saving of the money. So
Uh, Jesse, what's your thoughts on that?
I think we lose humans when we start relying on things just to be statistics and numbers and breakdowns and margins. We're losing the human aspect of who we are. When we lose the human aspect of who we are, we become robotic in our interaction. We become robotic when we wake up in the morning, when we eat our breakfast, when we eat our lunch, when we eat our dinner, because we're constantly wondering, when is the next thing going to give way for me to do my job, not do my passion, not do my creative endeavors, but do my job, and that's it. Job. We're not being creative in the environment that we live in. I agree with everything that all of you just said, because we're looking at the children and we're looking at the elders, and there's a disconnect. We're both either left or right, but there's nothing in the middle that bridges us together. We need like a chain. I always talk about a chain. I've been saying it for a while. I don't know why, but it's like a link chain. We all link together on these chains here. But when the chain breaks, you have disharmony, you have disunity, and you have many different forms of communication breakdowns. Whether you be an old person, a young person, no matter your race, your gender, your preference, whatever you are, when you have a lack of communication with yourself, you're going to have a lack of communication with the world around you, because you still have not gone deep enough to find who you are. So that's why when you're delivering a message, when you're running a company or a business, you have to make sure you've given yourself the time to develop so you can give it your best to everyone. Whether you're HR, whether you're a maintenance worker, whether you're running a Fortune 500 company, whether you're an athlete, you have to dig into yourself and find that power within to magnify everybody else around you, because when everybody's magnified, they're able to reach a higher purpose, a higher calling, whether it be in a creative endeavor, whether it be a mother or father. And it shows in a person's words, it shows in their eyes, it shows in their inflections that they're electrifying everything around them. And it gives them the ability to create things that will last past their generation. And I think kids have the electrifying energy and the adults have it too. Is the fact that we're going in two different directions, because most people right now are hurting or they have been hurt before. And so because of that, they don't have the ability to communicate anymore because they don't want to be humble and they don't want to be vulnerable. And a lot of jobs, they don't show you how to be vulnerable. They show you how to be an automaton, walking straight and not questioning how you feel or how you think. Now, if we're able to show vulnerability in the work environment, we can become stronger together. And when we're stronger together, we are unbeatable, we are unbreakable, and we become synergy, we become infused. We're like welders, we infuse the metal together. And with that being strong, nothing can break your bond when it's strong like that. And I think bringing the youth together, you have to give the youth something that they can be understanding with. You have to meet them where they're at. You have to give them tangible things. The same thing with the adults, because the adults have experienced so much trauma. They think that they're well invested in their own environment, not realizing that the environment is affecting the children too, whether at work or in the streets. And so they have to bring it back together in order to understand that we are united and we have a purpose that is more bigger than what we understand. So that's my thing, my thoughts on it.
And I'm trying to get Anya and Larry on because I love to get their perspective. Anya, I would love to maybe you try to copy and paste in Google Chrome and see if that works. Because I don't know why Google Safari, I mean, not Google Safari, there's no thing as Google Safari, but Apple Safari is asking you for cookies when you even still use Google Chrome. So that is weird, Anya. But like I said, Mary, I would love to get your thoughts on that too as well. Because I truly believe we're onto something here. And I just truly believe that when we just step up to the plate and again make human resources actually be really human centered and human centric, that is, of course, going to be by very definition human development. Um, I truly believe that when we just create a space and place that and and I saw this just a second ago too. Greater purpose. I love that, Mary, and everything. And here's Anya. All right, there is she. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
You're good.
All right, excellent. All right, I can't see everyone in the chat. Sharon, thank you so much for sharing. I completely agree with everything that you're saying. I feel weird saying this again. Had over 40 positions in my time frame, and I know it's just ridiculous these days because everyone wants you to have experience. Even for like internship roles nowadays require 2 years experience, and I'm just like, this is stupid. Like, I'm sorry, but like entry level and internships is like, they want you to hit the ground running to the point where they want you to have prior experience so they don't have to teach you, they don't have to mentor you, and they don't have to invest in you as an employee. I mean, I've designed footwear for Timberland, and he wasn't a senior designer. He later on got a senior position with the company. But he reached out to us recently. He was like, guys, as interns, we were doing like the jobs of, medium to, full-time employees with the pay of interns. And they expected that from you. Like, no one wants to mentor anyone. They want you to have all this experience, education. They want you to be self-taught. They want you to have like the highest forms of degrees because there's not enough turnover in these companies, right? So like our senior engineers who, you know, would over time develop certain level of standards in these positions, because they're like, look, I'll work on projects, but I'm not going to deal with the bullshit sides of the company, of like the nuances of who I have to deal with. Companies are like, well, you know what, since you don't want to do this tomorrow, you know, like, we don't want to keep promoting you, so we'll just get rid of you. We'll hire an intern to do all of the work that, you know, our senior designer can do. We'll pay him less. He'll be more ambitious. He'll be self-taught, and we don't have to deal with someone telling us no, you know. And it's just like, it's like a constant turnover. Now, I like what you said about company, you know, loyalty, because even like my generation, like you know, millennials and younger, we're literally taught, don't stay at a company for more than 2 years, because simply the level of promotion that you're going to get is not going to be worth it for you to be sustainable. So they literally tell us, like, work there for 2 years and then move on to a different company, because you're going to get a higher pay when you move from company to company. So it's ridiculous. I hate the way it is, because I would just love to stay in one position. I've lived all up and down the East Coast because I've just had to take whatever to get experience on my resume, and it's exhausting. It's not sustainable. I agree with you. But those are my 2 cents.
It's not sustainable, and it's truly not benefiting the companies, the individuals, and society. It really isn't, you know. And I get the whole, but we can save money, you know. But again, we have to look at, and I know I just said this a few minutes ago, but we have to look at, you know, what is the cost to our infrastructure? What is the cost to our infrastructure, our society, by having this mindset? Because you can hire a bunch of interns and interns are very, you know, young minds are great, new, fresh ideas are great, but there's something to be said from those fresh minds also learning from the seasoned professionals. And it's not just about the job tasks, it's about all the things we're talking about, how to relate to people, how to solve problems, both in the task and interpersonal problems. There's so much intergenerational learning that can happen.
It doesn't happen.
It's irreplaceable.
Yeah,
and it's driving me crazy.
It just doesn't happen, because companies don't want to put in the time and the efforts to train their employees. They want you to come in and just kind of like know majority of the job. They want you to know all the softwares. They want you to know all the guidelines. They're like, oh, you're coming in, you've never worked in GMP, but we want you to know all the GMP standards. So prior to you hiring, go read all of these. And I'm like, shouldn't I be learning this on the job? And they're like, no, we want you to be ready to come in and like hit the ground running. I haven't had a proper mentor since I started work, and that's just like bad. Like, I've had internships at like 6 different companies, and none of them took the time to sit down with me and teach me what proper design was. None of them. And then they let me go because they were like, well, you know, we just don't feel like you maybe know everything that you should. And I'm just like, yeah, and you failed as my supposed mentor to teach me all of these things. I'm, you know, 9 years later, I'm relearning everything that I was supposed to be taught, you know, back in the day. But they don't care. They don't.
Monica, your thoughts?
It's pretty sad. Yeah, hi, Anya. It's pretty sad because obviously that's a human capital they're losing, and then, you know, the time they've already invested into training someone, they just losing it, and they need to go to onto the market again and get another person, and that person might not be a great fit too. But then why not really to retrain that person and really to make her to our standards, you know? Because that's something that, you know, it's a gain for that person, but also for an employee, but also for the company as well. And that dedication that they can see in a great, you know, quality of work, it's just, it will pay off in time. But what I see is a huge disconnect between, you know, the initial process of recruitment process and once the employee is really in the role, because I do not feel like there is an interest in that person anymore. And there's no connection between an employee, hiring manager, and HR, and a human in the development of that person. because obviously that should be a process when they really communicate to one another, and then they really learn new things, and then they learn about interest and motivation of the employee and its progress. But I really don't see that happening anymore unless there is a underperforming status somewhere, and they're trying to bring that person up to certain standards. It's cheaper companies now to let them go, and rather than really invest in that person and really learn a bit more about themselves, about them, and to
Yes.
really invest probably in a different qualities, or just to scale them a bit more so they can do something else, because we all have our gifts in it ourselves, so we can do really whatever we put our minds to. So it's really sad.
I think another point I would like to add, and I've seen this in enough startups to tell you that this is a contributing factor. This is a failure of leadership to hire proper also managers, because nowadays managers are not really taught how to be managers. They're not taught to invest in their employees. They're you have like a senior engineer, right? He has all of these projects that he has to do, and all of a sudden someone comes to him and is like, okay, well, we're going to get you a bunch of interns, right? But this manager doesn't know how to manage. All of a sudden, like it's the senior engineer, he's thrown into the role. He doesn't know how to manage. All he knows is how to boss people around. He has high expectations. He has no time to invest in his employees. And the second, like he says no to his own workload because he needs to get his own shit done on top of, take care of these interns, it's like he's out. These interns are just going to replace him. So to him, it's not even like hey, I'm going to be a supportive leader where I'm going to take the time to go and help you as an intern to not only grow in your role, but really understand what it means for you to succeed. They're walking around, they're just telling you, like, you're doing this wrong, you're an idiot, like, what have you been doing here? And it's just like, no wonder these people are leaving after 2 years. Like, there's no reason to invest in companies like that. So I think there also needs to be a lot of education provided to either middleman managers.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. But the problem is that when people get promoted to leadership, they're getting promoted based on their productivity and their performance for the company. They're not getting promoted based on their people skills or their interpersonal skills or their people problem skills. They're getting promoted based on how are they performing for the goal of the company, of what the company wants to achieve. Are they meeting their quota with selling enough of the product? Are they bringing enough business in? It's things like that. And I have gone to bat recently, and this is something Chris and I talked about on one of our calls, for companies where we have to have more training for leaders. We have to have more training for the people that we're putting in leadership positions. And here's a crazy thought, but I say that, half facetiously, but we have to put people in leadership that want to be in leadership, because you're promoting people based on their performance, and these people don't want to be leaders. They really just want to stay in the trench and do the work that they do.
Not always. I've seen people who are just simply don't have the leadership skill, but because they've been so much in their particular roles, they'll want those leadership positions without getting the proper training.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Some of the best leaders that I've had didn't even want to be managers. I'll be honest with you, because they had the skill sets, and they luckily enough had their own manager that was able to recognize that. And the company said, look, I know you don't want to be a manager, but you have the skill set, and we would like to offer you this role anyway. So it's, Benjamin Franklin was like that too. Like, sorry to bring in like forefathers, but like he didn't want to be a leader of America. Like he didn't. But he got fathered into that role because people saw his abilities. And that's the same.
It's okay to see people's abilities and encourage them to go into the role, and say that you'll support them. But there are my only point is, there are certain people that have the skill set but really don't want to be leaders. And we shouldn't be forcing people into leadership roles that don't want to be leaders, because they're just going to do negative things in that position just because their energy is going to be different than somebody who wants to be in that position. And then you have the people who are being put in those positions who don't have the leadership skill set because they haven't had the opportunity to learn. But you don't learn how to be a leader by being thrust into a leadership position. You learn how to be a leader by being able to follow a good leader and by having a mentor to mentor you into that leadership position.
I disagree, but we'll agree to disagree because I think every situation is unique, and I've just seen plenty of coworkers who naturally had leadership skills who simply did not want to be in leadership positions because of all the requirements that came with it. Just meant they were going to do more work and they just preferred to stay more on the design side. So I think it just depends on the situation, but yeah.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely, we're saying the same thing. I think we're
Okay.
just saying it differently because there are people who don't, what I was saying is there are people who don't want to be in leadership roles because they don't want the responsibility of being a leader.
Yeah.
And, but I think that if we make leadership roles more enticing by appreciating people who have those characteristics and putting them in those roles for the right reasons and encouraging them to be in those roles because they have the traits that you're describing, instead of feeling forced or instead of feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to take on that role because it's too much responsibility and I'd rather be down here where I'm not going to have the whole weight of the department on my shoulders. Some of that needs to go away by having a more team mindset, a more teammate approach. Right now, people don't want to be, what you're describing to me from what I've seen. Another facet of that is that people don't want to be in leadership positions because when something goes wrong, it comes back to the leader. I don't care who's underneath you. Yes, the person underneath you will get in trouble, but it's often the leader who gets in a lot of trouble and often gets let go. And there needs to be a more team approach to the leadership, not only to the training of the leaders and giving them resources, but more of a camaraderie and the weight of the world isn't on your shoulders alone. Because that's just
What
crazy.
about the leaders who only take the job for the money and really wants to uplift themselves, not really add any value to the employees? And those leaders who works just for the money, not for the, any greater cause, they might be leading very transactional and treating people like numbers, do not really invest in the growth and stuff like that. So I really feel like we need to differentiate those true leaders, people leaders, or the leaders who just wants to be on a very high positions for the
Yes.
material growth, gain.
You need to be an inspiration. You have, if you're a leader, you have to be an inspiration, which means you have to start from the beginning of what you're doing. And you have to set the standard. If you're setting the standard for failure, they're going to fail. If you set the standard for success and humility and compassion, they're going to be the same way. You have to wake up that way when you walk in and walk out. You have to always be the person that's willing to be creative and take risks. If you're a leader, you cannot be a leader that's worth anything if you do not take risks and willing to try new things, which means showing humility, admitting you're wrong, and admitting to everyone, not just in a small building or a small office where no one can see you. Everybody needs to see you have egg on your face, and then build yourself back up from that, because that's going to restore confidence and accountability in the work environment. A lot of times you'll have people make mistakes, but they don't accept accountability. They put it on another person, and that person becomes a fall guy because they don't want to speak up because they're afraid of losing their job. And that happens a lot of times in a lot of different work environments. And we need someone to be risky enough to fight for you, because if a leader fights for you, you're going to go to bat for them. And they have to show that they're willing to fight for you continuously in front of your face and behind your back. And they have to be willing to work every day to get results for their team, not just for themselves, because you want to rise up with a strong team. because it's never good to be the best employee around people who are underperforming. That looks bad. It creates animosity, it creates infighting, and people start to talk about you. So you always have to use your skills, invest it into your team. Make sure they have all the adequate skills that are necessary for their development and for the development of the projects that are necessary. And if they don't have that, you have to do a 9 to 5. You can't do that. You got to do it 24/7, fighting for them, constantly fighting for them. Because if they look good, you're going to look good. And that's the entire work environment in general, you know? And that goes home as well. If you're failing at work, you're going to fail at home. You're going to take that to your kids, you're going to take that to your wife, and you're going to take that to your husband, and you're going to take that into your community. So we have to realize that a healthy work environment is a healthy society. We always have to understand that what we do at work impacts everyone outside of that job. You can ride the train and have an attitude because your boss did not defend you. And that's going to affect the person on the train next to you, or the bus, or the cubicle, or the restaurant. All these things are interconnected. We have to understand that when you're a leader, you have to always be willing to do more than everyone else so they can rise to that level that you're in, because they have to be leaders too. You don't want followers. You want other leaders to rise with you, and you guys can walk in there together to that boardroom and demand what you want. And if they don't give you that, you have to move on and go somewhere else. But you have to have confidence in the people around you. That makes you stronger.
Yep. Can I add something to that too?
Sure.
As a leader, you need to be willing to go back into the trenches. You cannot expect that now that you're in a leadership role or in a supervisory position role, that you get to be above the trenches and never step back into the trenches. Because as a leader, you should be willing to do every aspect of that job for the rest of your natural time being there. Because a leader that's willing to go into the trenches and help the people who are working in the trenches is a leader that's going to be respected by the people in the trenches. And that's going to change the dynamic of the situation. You have to lead by example, not just lead by your words. And true leadership is more than a title. So if you want to be a true leader, you better be somebody that doesn't care about what the title is after your name, and lead by example. And don't expect from your employees as a leader more than you would do yourself, because a true leader is going to not expect any more from anybody else than they would expect from themselves. And if you operate from those premises, you're going to have a much more cohesive team, a much more cohesive company, because there won't be so much of that resentment and frustration and infighting between quote unquote supervisors and leadership and the people that are working underneath. And to Cyrus, I think it was your point as well, that when you're a supervisor or a leader, if your team looks good, you look good. I can't tell you how many supervisors I had that were literally jealous of my knowledge. And I remember saying to one of these supervisors, what do you care what I know in terms of against what you know? This is how she was seeing it, right? Like I said, if I perform well and my knowledge is received well, then you look good because you're my supervisor. So why are you getting into this, jealousy thing with me? Literally, she told me, I wanted to nominate you for an award for saving someone's life, but I didn't nominate you because you haven't been with the company long enough. And my supervisor didn't nominate me for something because I hadn't been to the company long enough. And I literally said to her, are you kidding me? Why are you even telling me this? I didn't save the guy's life to get an award, so I don't even care. Saving his life was award enough. But if you're going to get into this high school stuff with me, like, I make you look good. You weren't even here the day that I saved his life. by knowing he was having the symptoms of a heart attack. You weren't even here, but you're my supervisor. So now our whole team looks good. But she was so fixated on, well, they like you better now. And I was like, oh my, ugh, and my only point of bringing that example in is it shouldn't be about a competition. We all bring we all bring assets to a situation, and we can all make each other look good if we start focusing on the right things.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead, down there.
I was just saying, I'm so sorry that happened to you, Sharon. That is literally a lack of security on some part. And I 100% agree with you. All the jobs that I've had, best managers were the one who were down in the trenches being like, how can I help you succeed? And, worked at summer camps. The only way children ever listen to you is if you got down on their level, were participating with them, and only then and only then did they even show any amounts of respect towards you, because they understood, like, this woman, she's a grown up, she's willing to stoop down to our level, understand our problems, she's willing to invest her time and energy in us, and only then did respect was given.
Yeah, it seems for me, and Mary, I definitely would like to have a great and engaging conversation with you as well offline about this too as well, because you've been adding a lot of golden nuggets, and she even added this here too. The aspect of trench warfare needs to change too. Leaders by your side, instead of who accept each role as a necessary need to their business, each role builds the business up. Simple tasks and complex systems are integral parts of the whole system. But Mary, it goes to this very simple dynamic. And Dina, I'm glad that you're here too as well. But Sharon, she hears you too as well. It just simply is about this, about leading by permission rather than position. And again, what John C. Maxwell says in his great book, The 21 Different Laws of Leadership. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. It's not a title, it's not a rank, it's not even a position. It's influence. And to Jesse's point, how we show up to that really dictate and shows that level of care to people when you're investing in them, not because that they have to, but they want to. They want to invest that time and energy and effort because they know if they're a true leader, not just a manager, but a true leader, they can say, you know what, I'm investing time in Anna and Monica and Sharon and Jesse because I know if I help them to get to where they're going to go, I will then in turn go to where they're going to go by natural design. It's already there. And when we just simply just do that from a place of not only simplicity, but also understanding that, and Mary, I hear you about the empathetic care. I was getting ready to say that great John C. Maxwell quote too as well. Nobody knows how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's absolutely true, even from a place of leadership. Because when you think about leadership is also, by very definition, is interconnected to followership. A great leader will be willing to say, hey, I am not going to be the leader today. Anya is going to be the leader today. Why? Because you're investing that time and energy and effort into them to make them be not only seen and heard for the leader they already are to some respect, but they can be able to maybe say, hey, it's time for me to step up. Maybe if I take a step into this today, I can see the better view of it and see this is really fit in my code of ethics. This fit right in my alignment and agreement with the organization. And if it does fit well, then that's a great thing. But then again, that doesn't negate the fact that Anya or Jesse or Sharon or Monica or Mary are literally not leaders in and of themselves, because everyone can be a leader. But it's just asking themselves, do I want that? Is that in alignment with me? Can someone help me not only get there, but make sure that I see the steps and the pathway along the way, and they guide me to that and everything like that. Because again, if we just do it by simple positional and like to Monica's point earlier today about the transactional kind of dynamic, we're not going to be transforming human development from a current place of HR. We're never going to get there. But I truly believe that everyone can have an opportunity not only to be a leader, but every person has a opportunity to help each other that's far more insightful, far more energetic, far more even impactful when they let go of their ego, let go of their position, let go of their money, let go of their titles. And like to your point, Jesse, if that one person is doing so well, and then everyone else around him doesn't really pull their weight or not even up in there to their level, going back to Anya's point, maybe I need to meet them at their level, help them get there to where they want to go. And if I can meet them at their level and then raise them up, it's only going to be better for them and also for me, because see, I'm not outperforming them just to be the kind of star of the show. I'm actually working alongside them because I recognize this, even as a leader, they're not an employee to me. They are a partner. And when you bring that kind of partnership model into the workplace and beyond, like to Jesse's point earlier, it's going to affect everyone, whether it be on the bus ride home or going into the grocery store and picking stuff up after work, because people will start really seeing that from an actual body language kind of dynamic. And they're going to say, hey, wait a minute. You're always chipper when you come in here after work. Why is that? That's because Anya takes time to lead me to where I really want to go. Jesse does the same thing. So does Sharon. So does Monica. So does Mary. And when you do that on the reciprocal kind of dynamic, that the very act of giving and the very act of receiving, it's all there. But how do we show up to that? That also matters too as well. Because if we're not even willing to show up to that, not only as a leader, but more importantly, as a human being, people are not going to follow you. People are not going to care. People are not going to worry about those other things, because what they're going to end up at the end of the day being focused on, what are they going to help me get this money from? How are they going to get that money in my hand? And everything like that. And we have given money such a high bar to fill and overcome when it shouldn't be even close to that. And that's why what we truly believe here at Bring Humanity Together, and what I truly believe here as well, is that the next currency of humanity is going to be rooted in that very value and not money. Because money is another form of energy and tool that we use to get the things that we want and need in life. That's all it is, nothing more and nothing less. But when you invest that time, energy, and effort into those people that are your partners and you're their boots on the ground, your soldiers on the battlefield, call it what you will, they're going to see that as a very tangible thing to them, because then maybe they can start saying, wait a minute, the money's going to come. It's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. But that value actually is priceless by very design, because I can't get that from Jesse, maybe from anyone else. I can't probably get that from Anya, from anyone else, or to Sharon, or to Monica, or to Mary, because that's priceless. And I've said this many times. We've been told for eons that we can't put a price on life. Absolutely, 100%. But you know what we can't put a price on to as well? Someone's value of what they bring to the team each and every single day. Their heart, their commitment, their enthusiasm, their passion, their purpose, their mission driven. They're really wanting to help people grow. And if we kind of discard that, we're going to be losing the very ideal of how we can bring people together. We'll be saying to ourselves, it is not about me anymore. It's really about them. And for far too long, we've always made it about us in one way, shape, matter, or form. And for the life of me, I can't understand that why. But maybe it's about time to change that. So let's go to our final thoughts and everything. So I'll start with you, Sharon. What's your final thoughts on today's
Well,
call?
my final thought is this. I want to sum it up this way. One of the things that I think needs to happen to bring the human to human resources and to have the focus be on humans is I think we need to get rid of titles. I'm sorry, but I do. Because the janitor, and I'm not demeaning any job. I want to put that out there. Every job is important. Every team player, every team member has an importance, and that's what I want to bring out. The janitor in a building, the person that keeps the environment clean and inviting, is just as important as the CEO at the top. So I would like to see a world where we get rid of titles, or we just kind of keep the titles, but don't give the titles as much weight. What people bring to the table should be given more weight than credentials or titling. And that's my final thought.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Monica, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. To me, the question was, will human resources transform into human development? So to me, I don't feel like we should start with the human resources at all. It starts with leaders and the leaders of tomorrow to drop from the head to the heart and really to lead with the heart and with authenticity, with love and compassion and empathy. And really that would transform the HR, because those leaders can then be in a communication with the HR and with their employees, and really can build something beautiful out of that, beautiful relationship for life, and obviously will add value to the development of that person, but also to the company and the growth of the company. Thank you.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much. Jesse, over to you, sir.
I think is be brave enough to be creative in the environment that you're in, and don't care about losses and gains. Just be creative and use your creative abilities to enhance those around you and allow them to be creative in the abilities of their own creation and nurture their creation no matter what the temperature is, the day, week, month, or year, or the conditions of the country or the economy. Nurture their creativity, because you're nurturing their creativity is feeding your creativity, because we're connected always, no matter how far you are away. We are always connected in your work environment or your home environment. Nurture that creativity, because it will reach a higher level of understanding for everybody, and we'll be a better place and a better life.
Well said. Well said. And Mary says yes again. Mary, like I said, send me a message. I'd love to have an offline conversation with you about this and so much more. Anya, what's your final thoughts today, ma'am?
Thank you. I think my final thoughts are the fact that we need to have a lot more empathy in the workplace, because I think all of us are treated like robots. You know, it's all about numbers, it's all about gain, it's all about a title, it's all about ego. It's never really about, hey, you know what, my team member is struggling, and instead of going down to their level to really see things from their perspective and being up here and being like, well, you're not doing your job because this thing's not done on time, really getting down to the, your coworkers level and being like, hey, you know what? I see the obstacles that you're facing now, but also you're a human being. Are you okay? How can we help as a company? What resources can we provide? Like, do we need more, team outings? Do we need more situations where we're really focusing on people's mental health? Because everyone wants to drive numbers, everyone wants to drive money, but no one wants to acknowledge everyone else as human beings. And I think that's a failure as a society to keep running in that direction.
Yes, absolutely. And Dina says yes, and she agrees with that. We got to get rid of levels. And she even says we are all equal, absolutely. And that is there. And of course, Mary, it's all about respect, absolutely. But that respect also comes a little bit of integrity, a little bit of, like Jesse said, creativity, a little intentionality, but create that space and place to where they can be in alignment with you on that given day, or they can be in agreement with you on that given day, and give them that space to be able to go from one to the other, or even have it hit home for them that they can be in alignment with you today, in agreement with you today, because you're just willing to show up and lead with your humanity every day in every way, and you are asking them to do the very same thing, and all of that and everything. And then Dina, I'd love to have that conversation with you offline too as well. And you said that I have worked in retail, which is very humbling, and that for years. And I've been in retail too. So Dina and Mary, I would love to have offline conversation with both you ladies. So please send me a message and a comment. And if you guys want to take it offline with me and Dina and Mary, that would be great too. I would love to get you involved in that and everything. So I love that. So my final thoughts is just simply this: is just like I said earlier, just lead with your humanity every day in every way. And again, going go back to it, like I said, what John C. Maxwell says in this great quote about nobody knows how much you know until they know how much you care, and everything like that. So absolutely. So Dina and Mary, like I said, send me a message or comment in the comment section and say, Chris, let's do a call. And I'd love to hear from both of you. And like I said, if these amazing people like that have that call with you guys as well, let's make that happen. So again, from all of us here at Bringing Humanity Together, Adaptive Strategy Group, Eat, Adapt, Grow, and now Stars for Humanity, we're just so humbled and honored you guys take the time out of your day to be with us. And if you'd like to know more about Bringing Humanity Together and you want to end up being a part of what we're building here at Bringing Humanity Together, here is a good way for you to do that. Go check out our website. It's going to give you a lot of insight, not the whole thing, but a good tidbit of a lot of the stuff that we'll be focusing on moving forward. And I love that. Mary said, respect the challenge of each individual because each person lends to the building of a strong business. Absolutely, 110%. And Dina says, yes, Chris, let's do that call. Absolutely, 110%, Dina. But like I said, go to bringinghumanity.com. And like I said, there's a lot of great information there for you guys to do that. So do that as well. And then follow us not only on Facebook, but follow us on LinkedIn too as well. And all you have to do is just search out Bringing Humanity Together on social media. That would be greatly appreciated. The only place that's different will be Twitter, which is Betterment 4R, and that's Betterment, the number 4, and ALL. And then follow us there. And like I said, if you guys want to know more how you can be a part of Bringing Humanity Together from either a community standpoint or even an impact partner standpoint, please reach out to me, and we will love to have that conversation with you and everything. And we greatly appreciate you guys taking time out of your day on Transformational Tuesday to be with us. So you guys have a great day. Make your day. And like I said, we'll get on that call with Dina and Mary. And you guys are up for it. I'll message you guys and we'll make that call happen. Alrighty. You guys have a great one. Make it your day. And we'll see you on Conversations for Humanity tomorrow. And I got to check of our special guest, which is going to be our partner, Keith Kuperman. So I got to make sure he'll be ready because he's in California. So I'll go make sure he's not California dreaming. So he might be thinking about the Beach Boys or anything like that. So hopefully he'll be okay. So you guys have a great day. Make your day. Thank you so much, Jesse, Sharon, and Monica, and Anya, and Mary, and Dina. And you guys have a great day. Make it your day. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.